What's up, YouTube and the world? My name's Adam Black from the Click Nation. On the website, theclicknation.com, as well as on this YouTube page, I'm going to talk about all things related to comic books and their associated media, including TV shows and movies. So if you like that type of content, I would suggest that you hit the subscribe button because there's more coming. And if you like the video, please give it a like. It really helps us out. Now on to our feature presentation. Alright, so it's only appropriate that after my first video on the channel where we discussed the Spider-Man Disney deal at the time, that it was appropriate that if something else happened, I should report on it or at least discuss it with you. And that did occur on 9/5. The chairman and CEO of Sony, Tony Vinciquerra, and I'm probably very much butchering the name, I apologize, basically gave an interview with Variety discussing the Spider-Man deal. And he basically said that at this time, for the moment, the door is closed. So basically that the door is closed on talks with Disney and as far as bringing in Spider-Man back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, that's very much a shame. So that's very, something that I didn't want to hear. And I know there are a lot of fans out there that didn't want to hear it either. He again pointed to Marvel boss Kevin Feige being stretched incredibly thin with new additions to the MCU as one of the main reasons behind the breakdown in talks. And if you weren't aware already, after everything ended with the phase 3 movies ending, especially with Avengers Endgame, and it formally ended with Spider-Man Far From Home. And basically what we are left with, again, you don't have the heavy hitters like Iron Man, Captain America that you had in the Marvel Cinematic Universe phase 1 movies. So now we're getting a whole slew of projects coming from Disney, from the Disney Plus service, as well as being released in movie theaters. So you have on Disney Plus, you have a She-Hulk series, you have Moon Knight, you have Ms. Marvel coming soon. You also have in theaters the new character of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, coming to movie theaters in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And you also have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. You also have the Eternals, and these are with the exception of Doctor Strange, you got brand new properties. We know we got Black Panther 2 coming, and you also have the other series coming to Disney Plus. I didn't even mention them. You got WandaVision, you have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, plus there's other projects that they have planned because they're going to keep on continuing. We still don't know totally about Guardians 3 as well as Captain Marvel 2. So those are a lot more projects, and plus we can't forget that the fact that Marvel Studios along with Disney has reacquired the movie rights to the Fantastic Four. They've also acquired the movie rights to the X-Men. Given the fact that the X-Men movies have had a rough go the last few installments from Fox, Kevin Feige will probably have to focus his energy a lot on the X-Men properties as well as Fantastic Four, trying to reintroduce these characters in a brand new universe, basically in effect rebooting them. In some cases with the X-Men, this is like the biggest reboot they've probably had to deal with, whereas the Fantastic Four have already dealt with one reboot that failed with Fan4stick that came out in 2015. Now back to Sony. Now Tony Vinciquerra also brought up the fact that basically touting the success that Sony has had so far without Marvel Studios' formal hands in the pot. Basically they point to the fact that they had Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which gained the Oscar for Best Animated Feature Film, as well as they also produced the series The Boys that's on Amazon currently. So they feel that, basically he feels that they've got it in hand as far as they know how to do not just Marvel properties, but comic book properties in general. Something I brought up in a previous video was the fact that there's a good possibility that Sony could be bought within the next few years. He also brought that up in this article from Variety. Vince Zampella basically said there are no plans for Sony to be bought at this time, and they are not for sale. And when I talk about Sony, I'm not talking about the electronics division and all that. I'm talking about mainly the media, the Sony Pictures arm of the whole deal. The one thing about that arm of Sony, that division of Sony Pictures, they have a lot of assets that are very valuable. They own Ghostbusters, they own the rights to the Karate Kid franchise, not to mention they own tons of original content for television. Heck, open up the Crackle app, the Sony Crackle app, and you can see them. But among their big heavy hitters is they own the rights to Seinfeld, which is like one of the biggest shows of all time. So that's a lot. I saw a video earlier from Everything Always that also brought up this fact. He references a Reddit post that actually referenced back to a New York Post article from earlier this year, that there were talks between Amazon and Sony as far as trying to come up with a way for Amazon buying Sony Pictures. Now, the article also mentioned that there were discussions at the end of 2018 that basically they couldn't come to a resolution, because they would definitely want to acquire the assets, basically use it. They already have Amazon Studios. By having the rights, they could also try and spin off these projects and create new TV series or new movies, or continue or maybe even reboot old properties and that type of thing. Again, Sony could use the added muscle of the Marvel Studios brand to help them push out these movies, these new Spider-Man movies. But I think it's also, what would also help is if they could help with the involvement of other movies such as Venom. And again, we have Morbius, which is coming out next year, which is another spin-off. And these are not produced in conjunction with Marvel Studios. These are just Marvel characters, part of the Spider-Man license that Sony is actually going to release in theaters. And Venom 2, that's already slated. They have Andy Serkis, who's going to actually come and direct this sequel. And more likely, you're going to get Venom versus Carnage, which is a matchup that fans want to see. So fans are going to buy into it. So at the end of the day, we know that the talks are pretty much done, at least for now. There's always still a chance, you never know, that Marvel and Disney could reach an agreement and keep Spider-Man in the MCU. But for right now, Spider-Man will more likely is going to be included in other Spider-Man related properties such as Venom. Get them involved. And remember that there is always that Silver and Black project that's already in development, I believe. That's going to feature Black Cat and Silver Sable. And again, you have Morbius coming out soon. And another thing that was brought up by Vince Zampella, even though he didn't provide details, was that there are 5 to 6 Spider-Man television series in development by Sony. Sony apparently owns about 900 some odd characters from the Spider-Man license that they acquired. I'm not even aware there were that many characters in the Spider-Man line of books, but you never know. Now, after that, there could be like a Cardiac. And while I'm joking about Cardiac, there was talks of a Night Watch movie, if you remember that obscure character. But yeah, Sony has a lot of characters that they could basically use and produce now television series. You got Solo. If you're wondering about Solo, you could call him a Punisher knockoff, but he was kind of more anti-terrorism. But you have Solo, you got Silk, you got, again, Cardiac, as far as that spin-off characters that could become their own television series. And then there's a very good chance that they're going to try and copy the Marvel formula and try to have the series all tie together somehow. Sony has a lot planned as far as the Spider-Man license coming soon. So hopefully we can get them back in the MCU. Now, you're probably wondering what I think. I think, understandably, Sony is trying to do what they can to make money. They don't own any merchandising rights for Spider-Man. They only make money off of any media projects that they come up with, whether that be a television series or a movie. They don't make any money off of any Spider-Man action figures. They don't make any money off the comic books. They only make money from the movies and any digital sales from Blu-rays. So keep that in mind. I do think creatively they would be better off just keeping Spider-Man in the MCU. Again, Marvel benefits because they do not have Iron Man. They do not have Captain America that they can rely on. Not really sure where the Avengers franchise is going to go. There's a very good chance that you're going to have Black Panther, Captain Marvel be a part of that team. Are you going to bring back Hawkeye? Are you going to bring back Scarlet Witch for those movies when that happens? Are you going to introduce brand new characters? It's tough to say. It's hard to say without a crystal ball, and so far we have a phase 4 lineup that does not include any Avengers movies at all, so keep that in mind. And one thing about having the rights to Spider-Man, Marvel Studios gets the benefit of, again, having a central franchise character that they could work around that would be a huge asset. And now they could create brand new stars. Shang-Chi could take off and become like the next Iron Man character. That character you didn't think was going to be that great, but actually turned out to be pretty good. They could, and Eternals could be even bigger than the Avengers. You don't know. Or at least be the next Guardians of the Galaxy. No one expected that to really take off, and that did. So having Spider-Man could really help Marvel Studios as well. This is why the comic book fans, the comic book movie fans are really up in arms about it, is because creatively we don't have a lot of faith in Sony. While they produced Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, probably a movie that changed the game as far as the comic book movies. Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2 set the bar even higher. Then you had Spider-Man 3. It made money creatively and critically. No one liked it. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 1 creatively and critically for that movie was mixed. Still made money though, so it garnered a sequel, which they had planned a big thing where this sequel was going to lead into tons of spin-offs and all this, and it didn't wind up working out. The plans, they were going to do a Sinister Six movie, they were going to do a Venom movie, which they actually did do the Venom movie, and that made money, so that was a plus for them. But they were going to do an Aunt May sequel or a spin-off movie. For some reason, everything wound up falling apart once Amazing Spider-Man 2 underperformed, which eventually led to a deal with Marvel and Disney. That's how we got five pictures where Spider-Man either had his own movie or guest starred in alongside the Avengers. Basically, at the end of the day, I think that Sony thinks they know how to follow the Marvel formula. I think that's their idea. I think that's what they got. They followed Kevin Feige around and learned his tips and tricks, and they think they can do it. I'm just not totally, I don't have that much faith in what Sony can do. If they can somehow pull it off, I will give them all the credit. I don't have too much faith on that. And with that said, I'm going to end the video. Here's the plan. I'm going to eventually get to my MCU Phase 4 plans, just giving you my thoughts and opinions and try to give you some items to read as far as those characters. I think the next set of videos we'll do some more Spider-Man talk. First, I want to do a recap of how we got to this point, and basically how we got the Spider-Man film rights that went from Marvel Comics, a company that was coming out of bankruptcy. How did Sony get the rights and what they have done with the rights since? We kind of went over it with this video. We'll go more in depth on that one. And then we're going to do my rankings, my official rankings of all the Sony Spider-Man movie projects released so far in theaters and my thoughts on those. And I hope to get those out within a week. So again, I want to thank you. If you enjoyed this content, if I didn't bore you to tears, please give this video a like. If you want to see more videos where I talk about and break down Spider-Man or any other comic book property, because there is a crisis brewing on the horizon for the DC television series on CW. So we're going to definitely get into that down the road. But along with the Marvel Cinematic Universe talk, please come back. My name's Adam Black from The Click Nation, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.